Whether thou art a ghost that hath come from the earth, or a phantom of night that hath no home, or one that lieth dead in the desert, or a ghost unburied, or a demon, or a ghoul, whatever thou be until thou art removed, thou shalt find here no water to drink. Thou shalt not stretch forth thy hand to our own. Into our house enter thou not. Through our fence break through thou not. We are protected, though we may be frightened. Our life you may not steal, though we may be scared to death.
Welcome to Scared to Death, Creeps, Peepers, Roberts, and Annabelles. Happy Halloween.
Hey, Dan. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Lindsay Lou.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got a fun show for everybody today.
Yes, I love this time of year. I love the weather. I love the vibes.
Yeah.
It feels like the calming before like the hellacious storm of Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, whatever your December holiday is, and then New Year, and then you're just in the sads.
Before we get into previewing our stories, I thought you wanted to say something about
Listen,
your dolls.
They're not dolls, Dan.
They are technically dolls.
They're figurines.
Oh, okay.
Okay, listen, I want to talk about my Sunny Angels really quick. Peyton, who has sent me some Sunny Angels from Coeur. Peyton, if you're still over there, help. Desperately need your help.
Oh my God.
I will Venmo you. The Halloween edition Sunny Angels are just sold out. I can't get my fingers on them. It's driving me nuts. They wear cute little pumpkin costumes, and I want them.
I love this because I never expected you to be like a figurine collector.
I didn't expect it for myself.
Because I could just see like myself, like I loved G.I. Joe figurines as a kid. And I remember like years ago running across some adult who had them like still in the boxes. And I just remember thinking like, oh, that's kind of cool. Just for a moment. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I remember thinking like, if I would have got them, how mocked I would have been to have these little like, you're like, what are you, 10? But now I'm like, I love seeing it with you. And I'm also in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, if I want to get little figurines someday, I can too.
You sure can. I like that one of our friends came over and she had kind of like vaguely heard me talk about the Sunny Angels. And she was like, I'm sorry, what is happening right here?
Yeah.
There was
what
like
are all these dolls?
20 of them. I'm like, don't touch them, Lizzie. Those are mine.
So what stories have you chosen from those emailed in to mystory@scaredtodeathpodcast.com this week, doll collector?
Figurines. Yes, I have two super well-timed stories. I dug through the emails. I wanted Halloween vibes only, and I found them.
Fun.
My first story I love. It is a Halloween Ouija board mashup.
Cool.
Most often I feel like we hear about Ouija boards from like, oh, when I was a teenager, I messed around with it. Well, this is some adults making some very bad decisions at a Halloween party.
Okay.
Really into it. And then my second tale is an equally perfectly timed trick-or-treat tale.
Okay, cool. I feel like I went with two classics this week, which I'm excited about. Like, like when I thought about this show originally, like Campfire Tales.
Oh, yeah.
These ones are, very well-known ghost stories that just we haven't shared here yet.
Cool.
Which I think is cool. My first of the two is one of the most studied ghost stories, if not the most, actually, in American history. Just found out about it. The enduring legend of Chicago's Resurrection Mary.
Oh.
Decades and decades of supposed sightings, so many. A lot of up-close and personal encounters have been alleged with the ghost of a young woman believed to have died outside of an old ballroom back in the early 1930s. Then another very famous ghost, whose legend inspired one of the most popular Sherlock Holmes novels, will head to England to explore the legend of the Dark Huntsman of Dartmoor.
Okay.
So very excited to share these stories. What spoopy socks do you have to close out the month of Halloween this year?
Oh, I have these super cute Dios de los Muertos penguins.
Oh, those are fun.
Aren't they cute?
Yep,
and then even on the
fun.
back, it's like the back of them.
Uh-huh.
Front of the sock is the front.
Yeah.
Back of the socks, bootay. Penguin bootay.
Penguin bootay. Okay, so here we go. Time now for the tale of Resurrection Mary. It's a cold night just outside of Chicago. Snow drifts lazily through the halo of a streetlight. The hum of a distant highway fades in and out behind the new sounds of the recently invented car radio that you've just installed in your Model B Ford. Your headlights are cutting through fog so thick it feels like a living thing. You're driving down Archer Avenue between Justice and Willow Springs. It's late, much later than you intended to be out, but you were having so much fun out dancing you didn't want to leave. And that's when you see her. A beautiful young woman in a white dress, walking alongside the road. Her shoulders are bare, her hair is plastered to her face. One of her hands is outstretched, thumb raised for a ride. You're immediately worried about her. It's not common for a woman, particularly one so young and lovely, to be out this late all alone, and hitchhiking no less. When you slow down, she looks right at you, and she looks so alive. Her lips move, but you can't make out what she's saying. It sounds like she's asking for a ride to the cemetery. And then right before your eyes, poof, she's gone. You've just encountered the ghost of a local girl, a girl so very alive not all that long ago. A girl now known as Resurrection Mary. According to local legend, and according to some Chicago historians and a few decades worth of substantiated reports, the story of Resurrection Mary begins in the early 1930s at the O. Henry Ballroom in Willow Springs, a little village now considered part of Chicago's suburbs. Back then, the O. Henry, named after the candy bar of the same name, manufactured in the area, was the place to be on a Friday or Saturday night. Couples, young and old, but mostly young, packed the dance floor under strings of yellow lights, big band music echoing from a live orchestra, laughter spilling out into the cold night air. It provided a beautiful escape from the Great Depression, a glittering little world of music and youth and romance. And one night, sometime in 1934, a local young woman named Mary went there to dance. Descriptions of her vary, but all say she was a blonde who looked between 18 and 20 years old. All descriptions also say she wore a white party dress and that her dancing shoes really caught the light, that she had big blue eyes that looked sad even when she smiled. No one knows exactly what happened to her that night, but every version ends the same way. Mary got into an argument with her date. Some say he drank too much or flirted with another girl. Others claim he said something cruel to upset her. Whatever it was, it caused her to storm out of the ballroom in the middle of a cold winter night, her heels clicking across the pavement as she began to walk home. It was snowing. She didn't have a coat. And somewhere along Archer Ave, between the O. Henry and the gates of Resurrection Cemetery, a hit-and-run driver struck her down and left her to die. Her parents buried her a few days later in Resurrection Cemetery, and the driver was never found. And not long after that, the sightings began. So many sightings that have never stopped. The first reports began only months after Mary's funeral. Several freight truck drivers, working late at night and driving the same long, lonely stretch of Archer Avenue, claimed to see the same young woman walking along the shoulder looking dazed. Some said she was waving them down for help, or that she looked like she was hitchhiking. But whenever they stopped, she'd vanish. But then in January of 1939, someone claimed for the first time to have much more than a fleeting sighting of this supposed apparition. A local man who would make the papers, named Jerry Paulus, told reporters he had met a girl at Liberty Grove and Hall, another dance spot not far from the O. Henry, which was still a popular place and would be for many years going forward. He said that she was a pretty, quiet blonde with blue eyes, and also a little cold to the touch. He told reporters that she told him her name was Mary, and that she lived, quote, up on Archer. According to Jerry, the couple danced all night. And then when he offered to give her a ride home, she asked him to take her down Archer Avenue to Resurrection Cemetery. Jerry, not wanting to turn down the chance to spend more time with the beautiful young woman, especially at night, said that he drove her down there and pulled over near the gates so she could get out. And then, of course, he planned on getting out as well, I'm sure hoping to see where the night would take them. But before he could even turn off the engine, she was gone. And to his amazement, her passenger door had never even opened. The only proof that she had been in the car with him was an impression, a damp impression in the seat where she had sat. This story, whether it was true or not, hit the local papers, fueling what many now consider to be Chicago's most enduring ghost legend. And then on March 11th, 1939, another supposed encounter made the paper. The headline of Ghost Girl Vanishes from Taxi on Archer Ave appeared in the Chicago Tribune. The subtitle was, Driver Insists Passenger Was a Spirit. Here's what was written. Chicago, Illinois. Cab driver Ralph Morrison swore under oath yesterday that a young blonde woman he picked up near the O. Henry Ballroom disappeared from his taxi without opening the door. Morrison claimed the girl had asked for a ride up Archer Road. He described her as wearing a thin white dress, no coat, like she'd just come from a dance. She didn't say much, Morrison said, just stared straight ahead. When I passed the gates to Resurrection, I turned to ask where she lived, and she was gone. The seat was empty. Door still locked. Locals have long whispered of a ghost said to haunt Archer Avenue, known only as Resurrection Mary. 2 years later, in 1941, another strange encounter was reported. A U.S. soldier by the name of a U.S. private by the name of William Keene, home on leave before shipping out to Europe, told his family he picked up a girl near the same ballroom one foggy night. He said she looked like she'd been crying, and when he asked if she was okay, she just said, "Can you take me home?" She climbed into the back seat of his car, dripping wet, something he found extremely peculiar because it hadn't rained in hours. Then as they drove, William kept glancing in the mirror at the strange, distressed young woman. He thought that her face appeared to be a little paler each time he looked. Finally, as they neared Resurrection Cemetery, the temperature in the car dropped so sharply his breath fogged the glass. He reported that she quietly said, sounding sad, "This is where I get out." And that when he turned to look at her, she was gone. Throughout the 1950s, Mary's legend just grew stronger. Many different teenagers cruising Archer Avenue claimed to see her walking the road after dances. Couples parked near the cemetery said they spotted a pale figure through the mist, slowly approaching the car until they panicked and sped away, or until she vanished. Richard Crow, a local man described by the Chicago Tribune as a full-time ghost hunter, who has allegedly investigated hundreds of paranormal cases, has claimed that he has documented dozens of credible Resurrection Mary sightings, many from cab drivers and blue-collar locals, who he says did not believe in ghosts until they met hers. One of the strangest reports he uncovered comes from 1963. He said that a young couple that year named Tom and Eileen O'Rourke had just left a wedding reception at the Willowbrook Ballroom, which is what the O. Henry changed its name to in 1959, driving home down Archer Avenue around midnight. Tom and Eileen both claimed to have seen the same girl, a tall blonde, dressed in white, walking ahead of them in the fog. They stopped thinking she was one of the wedding guests, who had maybe had too much to drink to drive home. When Tom pulled up next to her and rolled down the window, the girl leaned in. He said her eyes did not look blue. They were pale gray, almost colorless. And she asked, "Can you take me to Resurrection Gates?" He said sure. He and Eileen exchanged a quizzical glance, and then they let her in the back seat. They said that she never spoke again. They claimed that she just stared out the window until, without making a sound, she was gone. When Eileen turned around to find the backseat empty, they both said the air got cold enough that they could see their breath. Eileen screamed. Tom slammed on the brakes, sending the car spinning into a ditch. When police arrived, both insisted the same thing. She was real, she was there, until she wasn't. By the 1970s, Resurrection Mary had become something of a Chicago icon to fans of the paranormal, equal parts urban legend and genuine local fear. Ghost hunter Richard Crow said that by this time she was already, quote, the most documented ghost story in America. And then more encounters, of course, continued. In August of 1976, a Cook County police officer, responding to a call, claimed to have found a woman in a white dress, quote, trapped behind the cemetery gates. He described her as pale, expressionless, with her hands tightly gripping the iron bars. He said that when he turned on his flashlight to signal her, she vanished, but her handprints on the bars remained. The next morning, caretakers allegedly found 2 scorched impressions seared into the gates. The metal had partially melted, as though exposed to extreme heat. The cemetery supposedly tried to buff them out, but they didn't fade. Some claim a faint outline remained until the bars were eventually replaced. Whether that story was exaggerated or not, it relit the legend of Resurrection Mary on fire again. And once more, Mary was being seen all along Archer Avenue, from the cemetery gates to the ballroom. In 1980, a cab driver named Ralph Larson gave what's become one of the most infamous first-hand testimonies. He said he picked up a young blonde woman outside a small tavern on Archer Ave around 1:30 in the morning. He reported that she was both quiet and polite, that she said she needed a ride, quote, up the road a bit. He noticed her skin looked unnaturally pale in the mirror. He thought maybe she was sick or cold. When they passed Resurrection Cemetery, she told him to stop, and he turned to ask if this was her house. She looked right at me, he said, and just said, "Here." Then she stepped out and walked straight through the locked gates. He got out of the cab thinking maybe there was a gap he couldn't see in the gates, some trick of the fog, but there wasn't. The gates were chained shut. There was no footprints in the snow leading up to them, and now she was nowhere to be seen. Let's jump ahead several decades now. The Willowbrook Ballroom, once again, the former O. Henry, where all this ghost story began, survived decades of rumored sightings. But then in October of 2016, the ballroom, which was undergoing renovations, burned to the ground in a massive fire. No one was hurt, and the cause was officially listed as electrical. Some ghost hunters and locals have called it a sign, the loss of Mary's anchor in our world. They've claimed that after the fire, Resurrection Mary sightings began to increase along Archer Avenue, and that there were now more reports of a woman in white walking near the old site than ever. More drivers saying they saw her between midnight and dawn. And more than one witness swore that as the flames consumed the building that night, they saw a woman's figure standing in a doorway, watching and smiling. In 2017, a part-time Uber driver named Carlos Vega was working nights. And one winter evening around 2 a.m., he said he was driving down Archer Avenue after dropping a passenger off near Justice when he saw a girl walking along the shoulder. She looked maybe 20, again wearing a thin white dress. Carlos said that what really caught his attention was that she was barefoot, even though the ground was slushy with melting snow. When he slowed down and asked if she was okay, he said that she looked at him with glassy blue eyes and said, "I just need to get home." He let her in the back seat, and the temperature in his car plummeted. He said that his radio cut out, that he heard only static for a few moments, and then a faint song bled through, some scratchy big band tune, sounded like something from the 1930s. When he asked where her home was, she said Resurrection Cemetery. Carlos said that she then stared out the window, whispering something over and over. He eventually could just make out what it was. She was saying, "My mother's waiting. My mother's waiting. My mother's waiting." When they reached the cemetery gates, as he was about to ask her where her house was in relation to the cemetery, the car's interior lights flickered, static crackled through the speakers. He looked in the rearview mirror, and again, she was gone. And where she had sat on his seat, it was wet. Since his sighting, more locals have sworn they've seen her. Truckers heading to the nearby Midway Airport have claimed to have caught a glimpse of a girl on the roadside, vanishing when they slow down. Chicago's Resurrection Mary remains, as Richard Crowe once called her, the gold standard of American ghost stories, a phantom who's walked the same road for nearly a century, always young, always searching. Some call her a stone tape haunting, an energy echo trapped by trauma, replaying the night of her death over and over again. Skeptics have tried to explain the legend away for decades. Some say her origin story is not true, that she's a composite of multiple accidents, different young women killed along Archer Avenue whose stories have merged over time. But even most skeptics admit the consistency of reports of encounters with her is a bit unnerving. Decades apart, dozens and dozens of witnesses describing the same woman, the same dress, the same stretch of road. And none of them have really had anything to gain by making it up. And now I'll share one more supposed encounter with her. In 2023, a man named Eddie Harrington was driving for Uber when he got pinged for a pickup near where the old ballroom once stood. He pulled up, saw a young woman standing under a flickering streetlight, white dress, no coat. She smiled as she got in. "Can you take me to Archer and 71st?" she asked. Her voice was polite, soft, almost formal. They drove in silence for a while. Eddie tried to make small talk. "Coming from a party?" he asked. She just smiled faintly and said, "I was dancing." As they neared the gates of Resurrection, the temperature dropped. Eddie's windshield fogged and his engine sputtered. He said he looked in the mirror and then almost drove off the road. She was still there, but her face was gone. Her body sat upright, looking just like it had before, but her face had blurred like fogged glass. Then she spoke again, but her voice was different now. She said, "Don't stop." Eddie panicked, accidentally hit the gas. The car surged forward. Then he pulled over, slammed on the brake, and when he looked back, she was gone. Maybe. He heard a faint tapping coming from the trunk of the car. 3 slow knocks, sounding like they were coming from inside the trunk. He sped away when he got home, he hesitantly opened up his trunk to thankfully find it empty. For over 90 years, Resurrection Mary has haunted Archer Avenue. She has allegedly been seen by cabbies, cops, couples, Uber drivers, skeptics. Her story's been shared on the radio, in newspapers, on the local news, all over YouTube, podcasts, social media, and now here. Maybe she's the ghostly echo of a terrible tragedy. Maybe she's a restless soul still trying to find her way home after all these years. And maybe if you drive down Archer Avenue after midnight, you'll see a young woman in white standing by the roadside, and you can pull over and ask her what she is for yourself.
Well, dang.
Yeah, there's a crazy amount of information. That was very summarized.
Yeah.
It is a lot of like the same claim over and over and over.
Sure, so it gets a little monotonous.
Yeah. But like, like some, I think the local Fox station in Chicago just did as we record this, a little YouTube or put out a little video. I guess not, I saw it on YouTube, but on their station about this legend. CBS recently did something. She was on Unsolved Mysteries back in the day. There's been books. It's just like a lot of people have looked into this, and it's just unique in the fact that there are so many supposed sightings where people share it with the newspaper, local news, give their name. This is what I saw. Not always just one person. Sometimes a couple said they seen it together. Just a lot of people for all of them to have lied.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to just at random to be like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to lie about a Resurrection Mary story.
Uh-huh.
The Uber thing was the one that was making me the most bothered, where I thought okay, how would that work? How would Resurrection Mary, the ghost, interact with an Uber app to get an Uber driver?
Oh, I don't know that they were I think they're just, yeah.
No, he said he got pinged for a ride. In that last story,
I didn't even catch
he got
that.
pinged for a ride from the area of the ballroom.
That is weird.
Yeah, so it's how...
Right.
How could that be?
Obviously he could just be making it up. But then the other thing is there's a long history of ghosts interacting with electricity.
Absolutely.
Like electrical devices.
Yeah.
But that is it. That is fascinating though. It's could a ghost ping the yeah, that's crazy.
Because we've had other Uber stories with ghosts, and this is the first time that it dawned on me. I was like, wait a second. How is the ghost requesting a ride? Are they picking Uber Black? What's their what's the ghost elite Uber White? I don't know.
Funny.
But yeah. And also this story, sad as it is, it also kind of made me want to be a ghost.
Yeah?
I don't want to be stuck in a trauma, obvi.
Yeah, just a loop.
Yeah. Because then I imagine it's very sad for that ghost just constantly
Mm-hmm.
But I do currently today like the idea of coming back and just kind of hanging out with people.
Yeah, this ghost, and
you could be a legend.
True, right? Interacts with people, gets in people's cars. According to that one guy, went out dancing with him for the night.
I know.
I know, it's crazy.
My brain drifted for a little bit when you're talking about that guy, and he was like, yeah, wanted to see where the night would go. There is something so uniquely special about the beginning of a romance. My God, I thought I just saw something move, but I think it was your shadow.
Oh yeah.
Woo! My stomach just flip flopped. But yeah, the beginning of a romance is just what is it? It's just so exciting and new, and you don't know where it's going to go, and it's so fun.
And you don't know how it's going to be. Are they going to be a good kisser? All these things, there's just so many things.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have photos?
I do. So this first one, this is it's a postcard of the O. Henry Ballroom from 1945.
Oh yeah, what's the O. Henry candy bar? I don't think
I didn't look it up. I feel like I've had them. I can't remember what the O. Henry is.
Okay, I'm gonna look. You keep talking.
But I've definitely heard of it. I'm 99% sure it's.
I feel like
still
when
around.
I see the package, I'll know what it is. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't recall this one.
So that's just it's a big deal back then. They'd have these there was a ton of them around Chicago where they would Count Basie, big names would come through, jazz singers and stuff and jazz musicians. And, they'd play for a week or a few weeks at these places, and they would just charge for dances. And, yeah, people were real into dancing back then.
Okay, well,
ballroom dancing.
Well, yeah. It's such a great form of entertainment. The O. Henry Candy Bar, once a popular American confection made with peanuts, caramel, and fudge coated in chocolate, was discontinued in 2019.
Oh, no. It made it all those years. And then, okay.
Yeah.
I bet you can still find it in those old-timey candy stores. I bet somebody's recreating it.
Yeah, I don't remember this one. It sounds a bit like a Snickers.
Okay, yeah. This next is another postcard of the ballroom's interior from cardcow.com. Cool. Yeah, and then I have a cool little photo here from the Chicago Tribune. Didn't get the date.
Oh,
but
wow.
It's, I believe from the 40s, where you can see the shot is from behind the band's perspective looking out at the ballroom. All kinds of people dancing.
In some other life, I always wanted to be like a old jazz singer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
Where with the vintage microphone and the
it's hot.
flapper style dress and a fascinator is what it's called, but the like hairpiece.
Really sexy look.
Well, thank you.
And then this is the Gates of Resurrection Cemetery.
Nice gates.
It's a big cemetery, real big.
Yeah.
And then this is the cemetery at night, full of fog.
That's creepy.
And then one more, I thought this was interesting. This photo here, it's a collage of 2 photos actually. I found this on Facebook. But on the right, I looked into it further, and I found these photos in like Find a Grave and some other places where it is legit. On the right is Mary Bergovie. She died near the O. Henry in a traffic accident, 1934, at the age of 21, wearing the white dress. Mary Kovac on the left died in the same area at 1932 at the age of 19, buried in a white dress. Both are buried in Resurrection Cemetery. And a lot of people think that, the original Resurrection Mary, like the person that created the ghost, is one of these women.
Okay. They look very similar, which is... what I thought you were going to say is that the woman on the left in the polka dot dress, that was Mary that we just heard about. That's the origin Mary, and that the photo on the right was like somebody captured a photo of a ghost.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, that's... Because it's very... it's just an old photo, but the edges are very soft, and you can't see her feet in the photo. It appears that she's floating. Like, it's kind of a strange picture.
There are photos like that out there. There's so much. I feel like, we could do a full podcast episode just about this particular story if the nature of our show is different.
Sure.
Like more like investigative. And but there are like white blurs that people are like, hey, I took this photo along Archer Avenue at night.
Oh, I see.
Of her supposed ghost.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff out there about her.
I wonder if many of, again, like in an investigative podcast, I wonder if people would find that many of the women killed along Archer Road are called Mary. Like, is there some sort of curse on Archer Road?
Like a bunch of other Marys
is
die,
it more about that and the location? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Well, unless you have further questions, shall we head to England?
Let's go.
With its rugged granite tars, dense peat bogs, steep river valleys, rolling hills, and perpetually foggy forests, Dartmoor National Park boasts some of the most stunning landscapes in all of Great Britain. On top of that, the park, which is located in the southwest county of Devon, is one of the greatest archaeological sites in all of Europe. Scattered across Dartmoor, you'll find the remains of complex pagan ritual sites like stone circles and monoliths that date all the way back to the Neolithic period, as well as the ruins of Bronze Age settlements, deserted medieval villages, and prehistoric tombs. But more than anything, the most prominent feature of the wild, uncultivated landscape of Dartmoor is its ghosts. For literally thousands of years, inhabitants and transient travelers alike have spoken of the unearthly entities they've witnessed there, crawling along the moors, drifting through the trees, staring at them from the distance. The Celtic Druids believed that at night, a procession of dead men walked silently across Wistman's Wood, a forest of stunted oak trees located in the western area of Dartmoor. The word Wistman itself actually comes from the Devonshire dialect word wist, or dialectic word wist, which means eerie, uncanny, or haunted. During the Middle Ages, witches were said to conduct their hellish rituals near the banks of the River Plym, which runs directly through the middle of Dartmoor. It was believed, and on a few occasions supposedly documented, that if a villager insulted a witch here, her coven would sneak into the villager's settlement, lure all the sleeping children out of their beds, and guide them right into the rushing water of the river to drown. There is also the infamous story of a hunter named Child, spelled with an E at the end, who got lost in a violent snowstorm one evening in 1630. The following morning, Child's brother went in search of him. Eventually, he came across his brother's hunter's horse, dead and partially buried under a fresh layer of snow. He began to remove the heaps of snow from the carcass and was horrified to discover the horse had been raggedly sliced open and disemboweled, and wedged inside the hollowed-out cavern in the beast's underbelly was a man, his brother Child, the hunter. He'd killed the horse and burrowed inside of its corpse to save himself from the cold, but it didn't work. Child was dead, and now, according to legend, he haunts his tomb, which was erected in the same spot where he and his horse's body were found. While the legend of Child is disturbing, it's not quite as disturbing as the legend I'll be sharing shortly. Since the 1600s, people have spoken of a Dark Huntsman who prowls the moors with his pack of hellhounds, bringing death and sorrow to all doomed enough to cross his path. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of documented reports of people claiming to witness the same spectral figure. He is just as much a part of the Dartmoor landscape as the oak trees and the river and the granite tors. To many locals, he is no mere legend. Once, long ago, the Dark Huntsman was supposedly a human. That was until he made a deal with the devil. That's why, to this day, his rotting corpse is imprisoned behind great iron bars, and the cemetery in which he's interred bears the large sign, "You are welcome in the church, but enter at your own risk." The following will be two stories rolled up into one. The first is about how the Dark Huntsman came to be, and the second is about one of the most grotesquely wicked, vile, and well-documented atrocities he committed in the 19th century. Time now for the tale of the Dark Huntsman of Dartmoor. On the southeastern edge of Dartmoor is a forbidding manor by the name of Brook Hall. Though today the property is fairly unassuming, in the 1600s it was a grand house whose inhabitants, the Cobbles, were revered by many and feared by many more. The patriarch of the family and the lord of the manor was a squire named Richard Cobble. In and outside his local parish, Richard was known as a monstrously evil man, known to have a quick temper and a passion for liquor, gambling, and hunting. There were rumors that he dabbled in the occult, that he'd abused and killed several local girls. And then there was another rumor that he'd sold his soul to the devil. So when his wife Elizabeth disappeared from her sealed dressing chamber one evening, never to be found again, people became quite certain that all the rumors about him were true. Some said the rich man had killed his wife out of jealousy and buried her in the backyard. Others said he carved off and ate her flesh while she was still living. Others still said that he offered her body to the devil as a sacrifice. Squire Richard Cobble, of course, never commented on these rumors, as he rarely left his home during the day. The only time people ever really saw him was in the dead of night, when he would ride his horse across the moors, hunting for deer and rabbits and more under the moon and stars. He did this almost every night until the evening of July 5th, 1677. That night, the stable boy of Brook Hall was violently woken up by the sound of the master's horses braying in pain. Confused and disoriented, he stumbled to his feet and ran to the other side of the stable. There he saw a tall man slowly exiting the horse's stall, walking towards the door. At first, in the darkness, the boy couldn't quite make out who the stranger was. But as he got closer, the light from the moon illuminated his face. It was the master of Brook Hall, Richard Cobble, and his mouth and hands were covered in blood. The stable boy watched in terrified silence as Squire Richard disappeared into the night. In that moment, he realized that the horses had gone completely silent. All he could hear was the sound of wolves howling in the distance. The stable boy didn't bother checking on the horses. Instead, he sprinted to the manor and banged on the door to the servants' quarters. He needed to tell someone what he'd seen. But when the door finally swung open and the stable boy jumped inside, he found all of the servants were awake, talking in hushed tones, looking grave. Finally, someone noticed him and spoke. "Oh boy, dear boy, the master of the house is dead. He's been torn apart by wolves while hunting on the moor." The stable boy, of course, wondered how could that be. He'd just seen Richard. Or had he seen his ghost? Ever since, sightings of the Dark Huntsman of Dartmoor frequently have included the wraith accompanied by a pack of dogs that have morphed from wolves to hellhounds. Squire Richard Cobble's body was interred at the Holy Trinity Cemetery in Buckfastleigh in a tomb that looks more like a prison than a memorial. That's because it basically was. Locals were worried about him coming back and causing more pain and bloodshed. His grave, dug twice as deep as the others, is weighed down by a massive slab of stone to prevent his soul from escaping, and enclosed in a small shed-like structure with impenetrably thick stone walls. The only way you can actually catch a glimpse of the tomb within is through sturdy iron bars, originally placed there so that the undertaker could peer in and make sure that Richard Cobble's remains hadn't broken free. However, their efforts to imprison him would be in vain. For the next 200 years, on stormy nights, Richard Cobble's ghost would be seen riding across the moorland, surrounded by a pack of spectral hounds, hunting for poor souls damned enough to cross his path. There are now literally countless accounts of supposed sightings of the Dark Hunter on the moors, but this next one is by far the most infamous, the most feared. On one particularly stormy evening in the 1800s, a Mormon was riding homeward from Whitcomb He had spent the first part of the evening at a fair in the neighboring village, where he'd won himself a few quid in a game of dice and had gotten himself sufficiently drunk. The Mormon was descending the great ridge of Hambledon when he came across a druid circle of tall vertical stones. He and his horse had cut through this particular circle many times before while on the pathway home, but on this evening the horse suddenly lurched to the left of the structure, seemingly to avoid entering through the middle of it. Unprepared for the sudden turn, and still very drunk, the Mormon flew off of his horse, landing hard on the wet ground beneath. Then, as he attempted to pull himself back up to his feet, he noticed a figure standing in the middle of the druid circle, staring at him through the thick fog. By the shape of his cloaks and the leather sack resting on the horse's hindquarters, the Mormon surmised the stranger was a hunter, out on the moors in search of some midnight game. Recalling how much he had won at the fair earlier the evening, the Mormon decided to try his luck once again. "Hey, huntsman!" he drunkenly shouted. "What sport you've got there? Come, share some of your game." "Take this," replied the hunter, beckoning with his hand. The Mormon stumbled closer to the druid circle, eager to see what meat he was to be gifted. When he finally crossed the threshold, the hunter tossed him a heavy sack of some sort of flesh, nodded, and then left. The Mormon was delighted. The sack was clearly full of some fresh meat. The wrapping was nearly soaked through with blood. He was tempted to open it right then and there, but decided to wait until he got home to his wife to share with her the charitable offering. Cradling the meat in his left arm, the Mormon found his horse and made way for home. When he arrived, the Mormon drunkenly dismounted his horse, called out to his wife in the cottage to bring him a lantern, but she did not reply. He shouted again, and again he was met with nothing but silence. As he stared at his home in the pale light of the moon, the fresh game in his arm grew heavy, the cloth wrapping more saturated with blood than before. Standing in the dark, the Mormon tentatively opened the white shroud to see what the stranger had given him. It was his newborn son.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
I did not. I thought it was going to be the wife's head.
Yeah, me too, actually, when I saw it first. So, strongly assuming the wife also is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me is like the classic like campfire tale.
Yeah.
Like if you were telling it out in the setting.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Especially like hundreds of years ago, sitting around a campfire, everybody's riveted. Oh my God. And then that ending. Oh! Just a big gasp.
How would they do it?
Oh my!
Why are you so cute? Can't stand it. That's a great story. And what did you say that this was like a? No, you didn't say Bram Stoker. You said.
Oh yeah, I'll share. Actually, well, I can just jump to that. Well, let's see. Did I include a picture for that? Maybe I did not. Let me do the photos really quick.
Sure.
And then I can get to that Sherlock Holmes thing.
Sherlock Holmes. I knew it was. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah, this first one. This is a photo of Wistman's Wood taken during the day.
Cool.
It is a really, really interesting, like little patch of landscape there.
Yeah, it looks like just a lot of moss-covered rocks.
Oaks. Yeah, moss-covered rocks and these twisted and gnarled oaks.
It's beautiful. I immediately think like, well, you can't walk through there because you're just going to break your ankle.
I know. I don't know. There's got to be some trails through there.
But that's the old lady in me. Well, let's be careful, kids.
This is the same photo taken at night when there's fog.
Yeah, cool.
And it is so eerie looking, so just magical looking.
Uh-huh. It looks like a lot of like tendrils and fingers reaching out.
This comes from twistedsifter.com. And then this is fascinating. This is the fortified tomb.
Oh my gosh.
Of Squire Richard Cobble. This is via blackbeastsandboogeymen.com. It's still there. Like I just like this picture more, this black and white. But yeah, it's like I've never seen quite a fortified tomb like this. But they really were worried at the time about this guy's body, getting back out.
And in case you're new or have forgotten, you can grab all these photos at Scared to Death Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. If you're a patron and pay for early release, don't forget the photos are in the episode.
Yep.
And if you're listening on YouTube, you can just look at the screen when we talk about the photos. They're inserted there.
And I thought about originally grabbing a book cover, but I did not. That's why I was waiting to see if I did that. So I'll just say, The Legend of Richard Cobble and the Dark Huntsman of Dartmoor, believed to be the inspiration, I think pretty much known to be one of the main inspirations for Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's famous Sherlock Holmes book, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love. Well, Dan.
Yes.
Catch your breath.
Okay.
And while you do that, we have decided to put this week's announcements mid-show because, we all just want to get into the spoops, but we do have some important things to tell you.
Yes.
So don't forget, you can still grab the replay of our live show from last week. You can go to moment.co/scared-to-death and you can still pay the $20 and watch the show over and over until November 6th.
And we haven't recorded it as of so if you're like, why are you guys being more excited about it? We just haven't done it yet.
Oh,
but it's gonna be great.
I think we are excited.
Yeah, it's gonna.
It
was great.
I didn't know I was lacking excitement.
Well,
My goodness, I'll try harder.
No, I always feel it's weird, like when we have to do things out of order.
Yeah.
And so we're like, hey, if you want to check out that show we just did, even though
we have no context.
Yeah, we're weeks away from actually doing it.
Yeah. And then also just a reminder about the annual Bad Magic Giving Tree. The opportunity to submit your name for assistance has closed. As Dan just noted, we are very far out from that as we're recording this. But as of recording this, we have nearly 700 submissions. So as you can imagine, it's, it's very full. But what we really need, if you have the ability, is for assistance and help to Bad Magic for us to be able to support 40 families this holiday season. We're accepting Amazon gift cards, which is just the easiest way to do this. So leave all of your opinions about Jeff Bezos and Amazon at the door and just shoot over, if you can, even just a $5 or $10 Amazon gift card. It actually doesn't sound like a lot. I get that. But when you have hundreds of fans doing that, last year we raised $17,000 on top of the monthly donation. And then on top of Dan and I matching that, it provides a lot of funds to give a lot of people a great holiday.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to do that, go to Amazon, digital gift card, and you're sending it to GivingTree2025. That's the year, GivingTree 2025 at badmagicproductions.com. And last announcement. And then we're going to get right into some horror. Dan's going to get his Layla ready, and we are going to dive in. This month's charity donation. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I mean, they're all exciting, but just sometimes they just hit you in a different way. And so this month we are donating $12,000 to Skate, Ohio. We connected with fans BJ and Adam. BJ is the president of Skate, Ohio, and he reached out to us to share his story of how he's been working hard. He has a full-time job, just a regular, more than 40-hour week job. And then on the side, he does this with other people. And he was explaining to us about bringing smaller skate parks to the city of Mansfield, Ohio, because transportation is an issue. So initially it was like, oh, why don't you just put in like one big skate park in the middle of town? But it's like, yeah, but it's this like rural area and there's like socioeconomic issues there and people can't always get to it. So what he decided made the most sense was like, well, what if we did smaller parks? And when you do a smaller park, the cost is less. And so as it turns out, and we'll keep you posted, there's going to be in Mansfield, Ohio, a Bad Magic skate park. And it's just the coolest thing. So cool. Really excited about that. But anyways, their mission is to provide alternative athletic opportunities through the thrill of skateboarding to all people of all ages and skill levels. And at Skate Ohio, they're more than a sport. They're a movement that's carving a path to a healthier, more connected lifestyle, one trick at a time. And an additional $1,300 will be set aside for the Cummins Family Scholarship, which we'll be doing again next year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for bearing with us, guys. We know it's a lot, but we just got lots to share with you. It's just like this community is so amazing, so supportive. We do so many cool charitable things, and we like to share it with you guys. All right, what Layla have you got over there?
I have for Halloween, the Halloween week episode, and we will have a Halloween Nightmare Fuel episode that comes out on Halloween, a new story.
Woohoo!
I got the Black Layla.
Black Layla. All right, here we go. Hey, Dan and Lynze.
Hello.
I'm a diehard fan and OG proud listener.
Thank you.
Your podcast has been the highlight of my Wednesday mornings for years now. Thank you for keeping the creepy alive and giving me something to look forward to each week. I've debated sharing this story for a long time, but now that many years have passed, I feel safe enough to tell it. Whatever was haunting me seems to be long gone, or at least I hope so. Like most of your fans, I've always been fascinated by the paranormal. The dark, creepy, and unexplained draws me in, and it runs in my family too. My dad and sister are just as into the paranormal as I am. Growing up, I never flinched when people told me their paranormal encounters. If anything, I asked more questions than they had answers for. I went on a few adventures with the local ghost hunting team, but everything paled in comparison to the experience I'm going to share with you. In 2019, when I began dating my now husband, I went to his townhouse after work for dinner. We'd been together for a while, and he knew how much I loved the paranormal. He never seemed like the type to believe in what I believed in, so when he told me he had something he wanted to show me, I never would have guessed he'd pull out a Ouija board. He must have noticed that something wasn't right, though. I shook my head no in answer to asking if everything was okay. I told him, in no uncertain terms, to put it back immediately. He stumbled on his words, explaining that his former roommate had left it in the maintenance closet, and since he knew I liked spooky things, he thought that I'd want it. I should have made him get rid of it. But a little over a year later, Halloween 2020, that board would be found during a party, and it would change our lives. Halloween's my favorite holiday, naturally, and 2020 had been pretty crappy for obvious reasons, so we decided to throw an epic Halloween party. I went all out on decorations and costumes. During that party, a bad feeling had washed over me. I could think only of that Ouija board, but I didn't know why. I tried telling myself I was being paranoid, but it grew to be too much. When I could no longer ignore the intrusive thoughts, I decided to make sure that the Ouija board was still in the maintenance closet to calm my nerves. In my gut, before I ever opened that closet door, something told me it wasn't going to be there. As I opened the door, my heart dropped. No Ouija board. Panic flooded my body. Dread crawled up my spine. I slammed the door and rushed to find my boyfriend. When I found him, I asked him if he had moved the board. He said he hadn't touched it since the night he'd shown it to me. I felt sick to my stomach as I raced through the house looking for it, checking every room. When I arrived at the last room, that spinal tingling dread took over me again. It was like my body knew what was beyond the door. I opened the door to find my husband's roommate and some of his friends snorting nose candy right off the Ouija board. I lost it. I flew into a blind rage, snapping up the board without a second thought, sending their nose candy powder flying through the air before storming off. The men were too stunned to say a word. I ran straight into our bathroom and tried to do whatever damage control I could, saying every protective phrase I could think of, pleading with whatever higher powers might be listening. I only wish I had done more. I stupidly put the board in a new hiding spot and then rejoined the party, completely oblivious to the events that would soon unfold. The next day, after explaining everything to my boyfriend and telling him I was uncomfortable having that board in the house, we decided to get rid of it. We researched the correct ways to dispose of the board. However, when I opened the box, the planchette was not there. How annoyingly cliche. I was sober enough the night before to remember clearly that I had grabbed the board and the planchette. I had used it to say goodbye to the board during my attempt to repair the damage that had been done. We searched the house top to bottom. Every minute that passed added another knot of worry to my stomach. The roommate joined the search at some point, and I couldn't help but throw glares at him. This was his fault, after all. By the end of the day, we were no closer to finding it than when we had started. We hid the board until we could hopefully find the planchette. 2 months after the incident, we still hadn't found it, and strange things had started happening all around us. Slamming doors, windows opening, flickering lights, footsteps upstairs, water turning on, disembodied whispers, and so on. This townhouse was 3 stories, and all the bedrooms and bathrooms where most of the activity occurred were on the top floor. And there was no way a draft could have been slamming doors shut or pushing windows open, especially not in the dead of winter in Colorado. After 5 months, I received a call from my boyfriend. You'll never guess what I'm looking at, he said. I started making several guesses before he finally cut me off. The planchette. It's sitting on my dresser. My heart dropped. We had searched his dresser. He used it every day. There's no way it had been there the whole time. As soon as my work shift ended, I drove to his house. He showed me exactly where it was, and the damn thing was just sitting there, as though that's where it had always been. We asked his roommate if he was pulling a prank. I wouldn't have put it past him to go out and buy a new one just to freak us out, especially with all the crazy activity we'd been experiencing. His roommate swore that he hadn't touched it. He'd been in class all day, and none of us could explain this. I was stupid, though, a total Darren. I did not get rid of the board, and the activity continued more frequently and more aggressively. One night, while watching a movie in bed, my boyfriend had fallen asleep while I was still awake. I felt uneasy, overcome with that buzzing anxiety you get in your chest that you just can't place. No matter what I did to calm myself, it wouldn't stop. And then the doorknob started jiggling violently, as if someone was trying to get in. Luckily, we'd gotten used to locking the bedroom door, since his roommate would often walk in without knocking. For a full 30 seconds, I stared at the door, waiting for whatever was out there to come busting in. My boyfriend was still dead asleep, and no amount of noise was going to wake that man up. The knob stopped rattling. Then I heard someone running up and down the hallway. Eventually, the footsteps stopped, and I was too scared to open the door and investigate. Just as I was about to fall asleep around 3 a.m., I heard whispered voices outside the door, followed by footsteps descending the stairs. My heart was pounding. I decided to move to the door to get a better listen. I could still hear the whispering, though I couldn't make out the words. There were multiple voices outside of our door. I quietly and carefully woke my boyfriend, and I made him listen too. He could also hear the whispering, and we were so scared we never slept. The next morning, everything felt wrong. The house was heavy, oppressive, and eerily silent. At work, I opened Snapchat to send a quick message and caught a glimpse of my own reflection. 3 long red scratches ran across the side of my face. There was no way I'd run into a tree or anything else and suddenly forgotten, and my nails were always short. And anyways, I couldn't have scratched myself that hard. I sent a Snapchat of the mark to my sister without any explanation. She jokingly asked if I'd been attacked by a demon in the night. And honestly, I believed something had attacked me, something dark. My boyfriend told his father what was going on. His dad was so worried, he had a rosary blessed for us. We hung it by the door, and to my surprise, it actually helped. I'm not at all religious, but I thanked him every day for sending it. By May, we all felt it, like something was building, like we were headed for a breaking point. A friend from Denver came to visit us, and despite knowing what was going on in our home, his family, devout Greek Orthodox Catholics, had deep spiritual knowledge. He brought holy water from Jerusalem and blessed crosses with him. He walked through the house, room by room, cleansing every space. He took the board, blessed it, and then buried it on the lawn of a local Catholic church. A week later, we moved out, and we finally found peace. Stay spoopy, stay safe, and keep the nightmares coming. Jasmine.
Thank you, Jasmine. I wanted to hear a follow-up where it's like, now that Catholic church is like wildly haunted.
Oh my God. I mean, I think it's a very smart place to get rid of a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like if it's going to discourage any demons from coming through, that seems like the strongest place for discouragement.
I was mostly alarmed in that story by the roommate. Just 2 details paint quite the picture of this guy.
Yeah.
Where snorting coke on the Ouija board and then also walking into the room without knocking.
I know.
I'm like, what?
Who is this lunatic?
Yeah, who is this creep? Gotta sound a little pervy. That is a crazy thing. I mean, I guess I don't know how old they are, but I mean, it could just be a weird, little character tick where he's just kind of oblivious.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like that's just like a known thing. When your roommate and their partner are in your roommate's bedroom, you don't just walk in.
Also, don't walk into anybody's bedroom.
Yeah.
Like I just, especially, I mean, different, your kids or whatever.
Yeah,
but I was thinking about this. I'm like, when I was like you living with my roommate, I locked my door at night before I went to bed because she would walk in. Now, she was very funny sometimes.
Yeah.
She would barge in and start counting like the count from Sesame Street.
Funny, yeah. Just
or she'd like
goofy.
do ridiculous things. But it didn't matter if it was funny. I was always annoyed. I'm like, bitch, you don't know what I'm doing in here.
Right.
Get out.
Right. Yeah. That's like Kramer.
Totally.
Yeah, that was a good story.
I liked it. Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah, that's the first time I've definitely heard about the nose candy Ouija board combo.
Oh my, like how stupid can you be?
I can totally see a variety of people doing that.
Yes,
though.
absolutely.
Just to be shocking and weird, and especially on Halloween, like a Halloween party.
Yeah. But I was like, you idiots. You don't even know what you might have just done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to go trick-or-treating?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it. Hey, Dan and Lynze.
Hello.
I just love the show so much. It brings me a great deal of distraction during these dark days. I mean, if you know, you know. Thanks for being bright lights in these wild, interesting, and not at all cool times. Anyways, time now for the tale of the corpse bride of Halloween night. Most kids hit an age when trick-or-treating starts to feel too young. For me, that was 13. But a week before Halloween, my best friends, Gavin and Bailey, and I made a pact. One last hurrah. I only wish I'd stayed home instead. At the last minute, my mom told me I had to take my little sister, Tatum, with us. Total buzzkill. But on the bright side, she was like a super cute kid, so I was pretty sure we were guaranteed more candy. Bailey showed up at 5:30, dressed as Amy Winehouse. Gavin was a pirate. I dreamed of going all out as the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man, but then I chickened out and settled on an understated cat costume. Black unitard, eyeliner nose, and whiskers, dollar store tail. Not sexy cat, more stray cat. Tatum, meanwhile, was a full-on fairy princess, all pink tulle, clip-on rhinestone earrings, and a gaudy jeweled necklace. After Mom's standard and embarrassing "be safe" speech, we headed out. To offset the childishness of trick-or-treating, I suggested that we start the night at the cemetery down the street. At first, it wasn't scary at all. A cemetery is just grass and stones if you think about it. Most of the cemetery was nice, pleasant even. Headstones were in good shape, some had flowers or wreaths on them, clear that someone from above ground loved them even in death. But then we wandered into a forgotten corner where the headstones were tiny, cracked, deteriorating. Some of the headstones were without names, only dates. Something about that place felt wrong, like the earth was holding its breath. I was so distracted by these creepy scenes that we had stumbled upon that I didn't notice Tatum had wandered off. My stomach flip-flopped. I pictured telling our parents I'd lost my little sister in a cemetery on Halloween. We were calling out for her when we suddenly spotted her transfixed in front of a crumbling headstone overgrown with vines. Esther Stone, 1820 to 1848, it read. Fresh roses lie on the grave, which was odd. What living family member is still visiting this grave? It felt more like an offering than an honoring. Making it extra creepy, a tarnished ring was lying next to the roses. I picked up the ring without thinking twice. It looked like something that belonged in a museum. "Put it back!" Bailey hissed. "Are you trying to get us killed?" I rolled my eyes, did a mock gagging scene, and then set it down. "Happy now?" Bailey still wasn't convinced. Was it exactly like that before? "I think so. We're fine. Relax. It's candy time." The decorated neighborhood outside of the cemetery that we'd picked for trick-or-treating felt like another world. Porch lights on, carved pumpkins everywhere, candy bowls. We were laughing and running door to door alongside other trick-or-treaters when Bailey suddenly gasped and dropped her candy bucket. In the middle of the street stood a woman in a tattered bridal gown and veil. She didn't move, just stared. And it was a really good costume, but holy fuck was it creepy. "Hate it," I said. "Same," Gavin muttered. Let's pick up the pace." But when I glanced back, the bride was gone. We kept moving along, but the feeling of being watched only grew more intense. Even my amazing candy haul couldn't have distracted me. At the next house, a mermaid opened the door to hand out treats. I smiled and turned to leave. And then I froze. The bride was back, standing at the edge of the porch, motionless. "Fuck," I whispered. "What does she even want?" Bailey asked. Gavin tried to bluster. "This isn't funny," he shouted at the figure. But nothing. She cocked her head like a bird and didn't respond. Gavin led us past her, trying to act casual. I squeezed Tatum's hand so hard, but it was probably for my comfort more than hers. The bride slowly turned to watch us go. "That's it," Bailey muttered. "Last time trick-or-treating." "She's not following us," I said. "Come on, don't let her ruin the night." At the next house, when the door opened, all of us screamed. It was a corpse bride answering the door. But this one laughed and said, "I didn't think my costume was that scary," as she handed out extra candy. "Just a normal woman, just a coincidence. We bolted away, but at the next street corner, there she was again. Same veil, same stance, and this time she pointed directly at us. How was she ahead of us? I whispered. I'm over it, Bailey said. Let's go. We cut through the side yard, then another, hoping to lose her. But when we came out onto the next street, she was already there. What the hell? Bailey said. This way, Gavin snapped, taking charge. He led us into a half-built, abandoned house where construction had stopped years earlier. We'll just hide in here. Inside, graffiti covered the walls, and it would have been cool if we weren't currently living in a horror movie. What I assume was meant to be the primary bedroom had this little, lofted area. It was really cool. A set of spiral stairs led to the loft, and a small window that gave us the perfect view of the creep who had been following us. After 20 minutes of hiding in there, things began to feel normal again. We were joking around about our math teacher and trading candy. Does anyone else have Miss Mathis? Bailey asked. Oh, you mean scratch and sniff? Gavin said. Yes! She's always loudly scratching her armpits and then smelling her fingers. Ew, that's so gross, I yelled. Gross, Tatum said, not amused. We were getting ready to head out for more candy when we heard a loud crash come from somewhere else in the house. Bailey let out a little squeak. Gavin crept down the spiral staircase and into the hallway to check things out. My brain screamed at every horror movie cliche running through my brain. Rule number 1, stay together. But thankfully, he came back fast, his eyes wide. She's here. The rest of us climbed down the stairs and huddled into the primary bathroom, fighting about what to do next. After a lot of very dumb ideas, we did the most logical thing. We made sure the bathroom door was locked, and then we climbed out of the window one at a time. Thankfully, it was a short drop to the grass below. Tatum, being the princess she truly was in every day, insisted on jumping into my arms. I rolled my eyes, but I caught her anyways. Sister bonding, Halloween edition. As we ran off, I looked back at the window, and now the bride was there, her hand outstretched through the open window, finger pointing at us. What does she want? Bailey whimpered. Maybe this, Tatum said, pulling something from her candy bucket. The ring from the grave. I snatched it from her. Tatum, why would you take that? It was pretty, she said, for Mommy. You have to put it back, Bailey hissed. There's no ghost, Gavin said as he grabbed the ring from me. Silly serial killer maybe, but not a ghost. He held up the ring. If you want it, come and get it. This next part is going to sound made up. Too much. And I get that. But it's what happened. A huge black crow dropped out of the sky, thudding onto the sidewalk in front of us. Bailey screamed, and I almost puked. Every light on the block flickered briefly. Okay, Gavin said, shoving the ring back at me. I'm done now. Trick-or-treat retirement starts now. He grabbed Bailey's hand, and they ran off. Thanks a lot, friends. Tatum and I were left alone to deal with this creepy thing. We ran straight to the cemetery with only one goal in mind: return the ring to Esther. My earlier thrills had curdled into terror. We couldn't find Esther's grave anywhere. This place felt like an endless maze. We rounded the corner of the mausoleum only to be jump-scared by a high school kid dressed as a scarecrow wielding a fake hatchet. He and his friends ran off laughing. I burst into tears. My whiskers were running down my face as I dragged my princess sister through the graveyard. Finally, we found it. Esther Stone. Relief washed over me at the sight of the grave. I pulled out the ring. I wanted to fling it down and run. But I couldn't. My eyes were suddenly transfixed on the ring as I slid it onto my own finger without realizing what I was doing. Put it back, Tatum begged. I couldn't even hear her. Was my skin turning gray? Were those wrinkles spreading over my hand? I felt something warm on my face. Oh my God, my nose had started to bleed. Tatum yanked the ring off my finger and placed it ever so neatly on the grave, rearranging the roses in some sort of apology. Let's go home, she whispered as we held hands. As we turned to leave, I saw that corpse bride, Esther I assume, out of the corner of my eye. She was at her own grave, admiring the roses and the ring. Now, as an adult, every Halloween when I'm handing out candy, if a trick-or-treater is dressed up as a bride, I shut the door just a little faster. Harper.
Thank you, Harper. There's an early detail in that story that just cracked me up. Just the combination of costumes. I love like little packs of little kids on Halloween. And I just love pirate, stray black cat, fairy princess, and Amy Winehouse. This is like quite the combo.
I loved the description of not sexy cat, stray cat. I was like, you know what? That is wildly accurate for a child.
Yep. Yeah, it makes
they're cute little chubby prepubescent bodies that are not. You're not even close to sexy cat, no matter what you think.
It makes me excited for Halloween. Just like like when the kids come to the house. Like we got quite a few trick or treaters last year.
Yeah,
and I just remember that age so well when you start like really getting into your costumes and you're able to go out with your friends. Like maybe like late grade school, 6th, 7th grade, right in there.
Yeah.
And you just get so excited of like, I am going to be this costume. And then your friends, they all have their own ideas and you're not coordinating, at least boys. There's no coordination of costumes.
Yeah.
So you just get these fun little eclectic groups of just like things that do not go together at all. It's like Freddy Krueger, Robot, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just all over the place.
And I love what Harper says at the beginning too about like, I really wanted to go all out, but then you chicken out because you're afraid that your friends you reach that age where you're afraid your friends are going to make fun of you that you've taken it too seriously or it's not a cool costume. Like if it's not like slasher-esque, like if it's something sweet.
Oh, yeah.
They're generally not as supportive.
I mean, I remember that too. Oh, God, I can't remember what he was dressed up as, but I remember getting pretty into it for a couple years and going with Kyler and Chance Wilson. And it was the three of us. And Chance was 2 years older than me and Kyler was 1 year older than me. And it was like the last year the three of us did it. And Chance was probably just like a little too old and was a little self-conscious.
Yeah.
And it was like Kyler and I went all out and he just had like, I don't know, just like a shitty mask. And nothing else. And I just remember my little kid brain being embarrassed for him. like the people that we were seeing were going to be like, what are you doing? You're just cheating to get candy.
Totally.
Like they're going to call us out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember just taking it so seriously.
Would you have a bucket or would you have a pillow sack? A pillow sack?
A pillow sack.
A pillowcase.
A pillowcase.
A pillow sack.
I had a bucket.
Bucket. Okay.
I had I remember it, a little plastic, like jack-o'-lantern looking bucket.
Was it like the McDonald's bucket?
I don't know that bucket.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, it just had like a little black plastic handle.
I bet it was the McDonald's.
Orange. Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, but that was my bucket.
Cute. It's the Boo bucket.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we were pillow sack. I want to say pillow sack.
Okay.
We were pillow sack kids. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like my friends, for some, I have an image of like a Wonder Bread bag, like that plastic bag that a loaf of Wonder Bread comes in.
That's a really smart use.
Yeah, I feel like. Oh, and there was this one. Actually, I had the bucket, and then I don't know why I remember this bag so well. It was, oh my God, it was like a forest. It was so random. It was like a tan bag, drawstring plastic bag. We got it at school. And I think it was for some Forest Service thing where they came in and talked to us about like forest fires or trails.
Okay, it's probably like a pack in, pack out sort of thing.
Yeah, there was some owl on it. It was some like Hootie, the something owl with the Forest Service. It wasn't Smokey the Bear, but it was some like, maybe like, who can prevent forest fires?
Okay.
It's part of some ad campaign. And I had that. I kept that bag for years. I might still have that bag and some old stuff because then it became my G.I. Joe Legos bag. But I remember initially it being the candy bag. And
I now want to go home and search for it because we have your G.I. Joes.
Yeah. It had thick plastic. And I just remember like, oh, this is like,
I'm going to do sturdy. I'm going to do
some
good work.
Serious business. I'm going to hold so much candy. And then the Wonder Bread bag, I think that was the bag that like, it might have been that same year of like Chance, Kyler and I at the end. And they had another brother, John, who was the oldest, who came and just stole Kyler's candy.
Oh.
And then it was just that awkward thing where he was a little too old to be crying like a lot over things like that. But he did. And then he was so embarrassed. It was like this terrible Halloween night where his brother took, at the very end of the night, took all his candy.
I'm going to need you afterwards to text Kyler Wilson and like relive this. He'll love it. He will love it. All right. Well, do you want to do some spoopy shout outs and some Annabelle shout outs with me?
I would love to.
Okay, go ahead. You want to start?
Yes. I would like to thank the following Annabelles: Liz Stoff, Timmy Bean, Kayleigh Jackson, Colton, Glazed and Confused.
Nice.
Connor Maurer. Johnny Picklecopter. I wish that was a real last name. Mr. Picklecopter, I presume.
Who says it's not?
And Taylor B.
I'd like to thank the following Annabelles for helping us get a Bad Magic skate park.
Nice.
Chanel Yanash, Amber, Lucy Rue, Nicole Britton, Dimitri, Andrea Benson, Tasia, and Carol Hahn.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I have a ton of spoopy shout-outs
Makes sense.
this week. I know, naturally. And I just couldn't say no. To Brianna from Brianna, happy 34th to my creepy self. To TLC Creations from Anita and George, the Kiwis in Australia. Happy birthday to our awesome brother husband. Thanks for recommending Scared to Death. And thanks for being my husband's bestie. And remember, $20 is $20.
Okay.
Who knows?
yeah, exactly.
To Mallory from Mallory. Happy first birthday without both of your parents. The road has been long, but you're doing okay. You should be proud of how you have handled things. To Jojo from Holly Lynn. I know it's been hard since we lost Dad, but we're getting through this together. I love you so much. I don't know what I'd do without you. Also, a very spooky B-day to myself. To Abby from BC. I know I can be an asshole, but I'm your asshole, and you're stuck with me. We've hit the 1-year wedding anniversary, and now we can make it through anything. Can't wait to listen to this on our train ride before trying for our own demon spawn. I love you. To Kendra from Chris, happy 13th anniversary. To Tom from Tom, happy 41st birthday to me. It's been a roller coaster from the lows of a rough breakup in 24 to losing Dad this summer to the highs of taking the kids to see Avril and other concert. Here's to 41, new beginnings and new adventures. And then this is my favorite shout out. I'm definitely going to try not to cry. To Tyrion, aka the Iron Man from Tyranny, your mom. At just 10, life wasn't meant to be this hard already, but we fucking made it. You've shown strength, courage, and resilience and been through more than anyone should have to have gone through, especially at your age. On the hardest days, you smiled and laughed and believed in brighter days. I'd pick you in a room full of all the boys in the world every time. It's been a hell of a ride, but I wouldn't want to be strapped in next to anyone else. Cheers to 5 years, baby. Be strong, be brave, be great. I can't believe I'm crying. I love you 3,000. So anyways, I was emailing with Tyranny, this mom, and her son, Tyrion, was diagnosed with kidney cancer just 3 weeks old.
Oof.
He went through chemo and radiation and had to have one of his kidneys removed. But now he's considered cured after ringing the bell. So like in a cancer ward, you get to ring the bell at the end of your last treatment. My God. So anyways, he got to ring that bell on 10/30/2020 to signify the end of his treatment. And now, as she sent me pictures, he is such a beautiful kid.
Yeah.
He's playing sports and he's a great big brother and he's happy and healthy. So Tyranny, I hope I got those details right. Thanks for sharing yours and Tyrion's story with us. It's just so inspirational.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's it.
And that's our show. Thanks for continuing to send in your personal tales of terror to mystory@scaredtodeathpodcast.com. You can email us for everything else at info@scaredtodeathpodcast.com. Thank you to Logan Keith scoring today's show. Thanks to Heather Rylander organizing the My Story emails. To book editor Drew Atana polishing and preparing listener stories for book number 7. Thank you to Molly Box for finding the first story I shared this week, and I was able to find the first. Yeah, she found the second, I found the first. We're on Facebook and Instagram where we post pics that accompany episodes and more at Scared to Death Podcast. We also have a private Facebook group, Creeps and Peepers, full of fellow horror lovers, moderated by the All-Seen Eyes. Big thanks to them. Enjoy your nightmares, Creeps and Peepers. Happy Halloween, and hope you were scared to death.
Bye.
If spirits threaten me in this place, fight water by water and fire by fire. Banish their souls into nothingness and remove their powers until the last trace. Let these evil beings flee through time and space. Evil may pass through, but hath no home here within, scared to death.
Bad Magic Productions.
Who is this lunatic?
Yeah, who is this creep? Gotta sound a little pervy.